Ariana and the Elder Codex immediately caught my attention when I first saw it because of the cute main character design and lots of creative and colorful magic. While I have zero track record with Compile Hearts and Idea Factory games, I was intrigued enough to try and find out more. What I found was a relatively short but fun RPG with a cool premise, a good blend of platforming and magic development, and enough story juice to keep me invested. Ariana and the Elder Codex is an action RPG with platforming elements developed by Hyde and published by Compile Hearts and Idea Factory. The game came out originally in Japan on August 21st, 2025 for PS4, PS5, and Switch, with the international versions releasing on those platforms on March 24th, 2026. A PC port for the game was released worldwide on April 29th, 2026, and that is the version of the game that I played. Hyde is a developer with a longer track record as a support development studio for games such as Rune Factory Guardians of Azuma and Final Fantasy XV. Recently though, they have started making full games such as Bandai Namco published Everybody's Golf Hot Shots and Ariana and the Elder Codex. Ariana came out to fine critical feedback, with many critics rating it between a 6 to 8 out of 10. Player feedback has been similar to the critics, with the Steam rating at a mixed 69% positive rating. Clearly though, I enjoyed my time with the game, so let's talk about why I think Ariana and the Elder Codex may be a worthwhile play for players. In this game, you play as the titular Ariana, a librarian at the library that houses the codices that power all the magic in the realm. When a saboteur damages each one of the 7 hero codices, though, the world is deprived of magic apart from very special cases, such as Ariana. Therefore, it is her job to enter each codex to repair it and return the magic to the world. While doing so, she will also be dealing with mysteries from the personal one around the disappearance of her parents to the bigger question of who damaged the codices to begin with. In each codex, she will also learn the story told within that can range from historical tales of how the magic came to be to cautionary tales warning about the excesses of humanity or demonhood. The story has good ideas. I stick to my earlier statement about the premise being a strong one that offers a lot of chances to develop the world and get immersed. The game doesn't quite live up to that in the writing, as the characters love to talk in circles about things. With snappier dialogue, I think the story could have had a stronger impact, and this applies not just to main story dialogue, but also some of the NPC interactions. The characters, though, were believable and mostly charming. The cast is small, but that gives plenty of time for them to grow on us, even in a game that took me just under 14 hours to finish. This goes for our protagonist Ariana, but also for the major side characters such as the ancient demon Divina and the automaton's servant Aster. Like others who have played this, I see the potential for greater growth within this world and the characters if Hyde was interested in making a sequel to this title. The writing in the codices stories is actually even better than the main story, so it was fun to get 7 significant mini-stories alongside the main tale. When Ariana goes into a codex for the first time, she can explore around, taking on enemies, completing challenges, and collecting treasure. She will follow the story of the codex until she faces down the final boss of the area. Once she has defeated said boss, then she will repair the codex, and that type of magic will return to the world. You can proceed onwards after completing the codex, but typically beating the codex through the regular gameplay loop doesn't actually 100% fix the codex. The main boss and scenario covers a good portion of the repair process, but those other challenges also count towards it, and some of those are in areas of the map that are initially inaccessible to you depending on your abilities. As you complete codices, though, you will gain additional abilities from dashing through the air to a double jump and more. Then you can return to previous codices to take on those additional challenges. It is a neat Metroidvania-inspired mechanic and isn't too hard to do as you progress, so I made sure to 100% complete every codex. I will say some of the challenges that involved platforming, though, were particularly challenging for me. Ariana has control over 5 types of magic: neutral, fire, water, wind, and earth. Those latter 4 comprise the first 4 codices you must repair, also known as the 4 elemental codices. Thankfully, Ariana can use all the magic from the start once she has learned the spells, so you can equip her with fire magic to take on the water codex or wind to take on the earth codex, as enemies are weaker to their opposite magic type. There's several different enemy types with variety in whether they attack from range or not, if they have shields, if they can fly, teleport, or float, and more. It doesn't take you long to have seen each enemy type though, and so the variety comes from mixing elements within the enemy types. In the initial 4 codices, that variety doesn't really exist, because the enemies are whatever the elemental type of the codex is. You'll see greater elemental diversity in the final 3 codices, known as the 3 phenomena codices, and that means Ariana will need to have a variety of magic to take them out. Ariana can equip 6 magic skills at a time. There are 5 spells for each elemental type, along with a powerful graviton cannon move that changes elemental type depending on Ariana's form at the time. Her form can be changed by activating an elemental advent once the corresponding elemental gauge is filled. This charges up any ability of that elemental type, along with making the neutral magic sword attacks able to increase the elemental burst on enemies. You want the elemental burst up because they can help stun enemies and do significant damage not just to them, but to surrounding enemies as well. One of my favorite things to do in the game was to line up elemental bursts so that one burst would set off another and completely destroy a room full of enemies. That was a lot of fun, and you can see the system snowball when you've got the form change leading into elemental bursts, which allows you to gain more magic skills and all that stuff. It's a fun system overall. The regular enemies are rarely much of a challenge, but there are some repair points that offer a stronger test, and the bosses are an even greater barrier. The main reason those tended to be bigger struggles for me was because plenty of the bosses, as well as some of the repair point enemies, require platforming. I am okay with platforming, but it's not my favorite thing, and when forced to do the platforming movements while also trying to do damage to enemies, I found myself occasionally struggling. Clearly, I was able to get through the game though, so the game wasn't too difficult, thankfully. When it comes to progression, you collect repair fragments from defeating enemies, destroying objects, and repairing the codex. There are also weak and strong magic remnants that are used along with the repair fragments to upgrade spells and buy magic items. It is very much worth it to spend time upgrading your spells because you can increase their power, decrease cooldown, and even add in specific effects such as the biggest healing spell going off automatically when you get below 30% health left, which saved me a couple times while playing. Some spell upgrades will only be available once you complete and repair one of the phenomena codices though, so make sure you save up and use your resources wisely. The magic items can be equipped on Ariana and can do things such as reducing damage from a specific elemental type or other such important upgrades. You do have a limited amount that you can equip, so pick wisely to see what makes the most sense for the upcoming challenge. I'll also share this tidbit since the game doesn't explicitly say it, but you can get some strong magic items by completing certain NPC interactions, so I advise interacting with each NPC after completing a codex in order to obtain them all. The NPCs can also give additional insight into the library and the other characters, including Ariana herself. The art style was the first thing to draw me into Ariana, and that remained the case once I got the full game. There is limited animation, but the 2D images of the cast are wonderfully made and full of character, along with having a variety of facial expressions. The different backgrounds and settings were also nice to look at, and the magic was very colorful. I enjoyed the use of color to denote enemies, distinguish magic, and change outfits for Ariana. I think that was done very well. The music was fine. The main thing was that it all felt very similar. Not necessarily in musicality, but in volume and tone. Even the battle or boss themes kept to the same instrumentation and didn't show much variety. Because of that, while it is completely fine to listen to, it failed to be all that memorable and just slunk away into the background of my mind while I was playing. Voice acting wise, that cast was well cast and voiced on the English side. Kira Buckland gave a good performance as Ariana, and honestly the only complaint I have is the lack of acknowledgement of the English cast. I have some guesses as to who voiced whom, given my familiarity with some of the voices, but they weren't even included in the end credits, and I couldn't find people taking credit for roles other than Kira Buckland. The UI is straightforward and easy to navigate. The UX is a bit more of a challenge, especially for the PC port. This game was clearly made for console first, and that means that certain instances, such as switching between primary and secondary magic, are cumbersome on the keyboard. It's nothing that would prevent me from recommending the game, but my fellow non-controller players should be prepared for doing some keyboard remapping to try and make the experience smoother. I saw one reviewer describe Ariana and the Elder Codex as a palate cleanser, and I think that's appropriate. In a world with many long RPGs out there, it is nice to have one that knows what it wants to do and doesn't overstay its welcome. Part of that is due to the budget nature of the game, but the good art and fun gameplay carried me through the whole game easily, and I'm sure it will do the same for those interested. Thank you to Idea Factory and Compile Hearts for a coverage code for the game. If you enjoyed the video, I would love it if you gave it a like and comment below your thoughts on the game or anything else you have in mind. Subscribe if you have not already to keep up with the channel and all the other future RPGs I will be playing. I will be abroad and thus unable to make new videos until I return, but when I do, I've got a video in the works for my next Why You Should Play that I think many of you have been hoping to see. Thank you for watching. Have a great day and happy gaming.